Hi everybody, we are going to look at 3 examples of how to solve quadratics using the factoring method. Okay, so looking at the first one, every single time I'm using the factoring method, I need at least an x squared and an x and usually a number. So from here, I am going to make sure that it's set equal to 0, which it is, and now I can do my rainbow and my t-chart. So I'm going to multiply the first term times the last term. Remember, there's a 1 in front of x squared. I'm going to do my t-chart. 1 times negative 10 gives me a negative 10, and then the 3 will go at the bottom. So my factors of 10 are 1 times 10 and 2 times 5, and then I am going to find ones that multiply to negative 10 and add to a positive 3. So because this guy is negative up here, I know I need one of my factors to be negative. I'm going to make this 2 negative because negative 2 plus 5 or 5 minus 2 will give me 3. So I'm going to choose those for my equation. So next up, I'm going to bring down my first term, so x squared. I'm going to break up the 3x into what I circled, so minus 2x plus 5x. Don't forget your x's. And then you're going to bring down this minus 10, and it's still set equal, not 5, to 0. All right, so it's called grouping, so I'm going to group the first two, group the second two, and now I'm looking for the greatest common factor that I can factor out of that first parenthesis. So between x squared and 2x, I'm like they both share an x, so I'm only going to be able to take out one x. And then I'm going to divide each one of these guys by x. So x squared divided by x, remember if you need to draw it out, you can. X squared is 2x's. If I divide by 1, they will cancel out, so I'm left with just 1. And then negative 2x divided by x, these will cancel out to give me a negative 2. All right, same idea with the next one. So between 5x and negative 10, my greatest common factor is 5, so don't forget to put it here. Then I'm going to divide each of these guys by 5. So 5x divided by 5 will leave me with an x. Negative 10 divided by 5 gives me a negative 2. Be careful of your negatives. We're still set equal to 0. Okay, we're almost done with the factoring process. I'm going to look to see if my parentheses are the same. They are, so I know I did it correctly. Cross them off and write it once. And then my leftovers go in my second parenthesis here. All right, we have finished the factoring process. Now comes the easy part. Because it's set equal to 0, either my first parenthesis needs to be set equal to 0 or my second. So I'm going to solve these two separately. So x minus 2 set equal to 0. I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So my x value is equal to 2. There's solution number 1. Second, I'm setting x plus 5 equal to 0. I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides to get x by itself. So x is equal to negative 5. So those are your two solutions there. All right, let's look at this next one. So we have 2x squared plus 13x is equal to negative 15. I have an x squared and an x, so I know that I'm going to use factoring. And when I'm doing factoring, I need to make sure that my equation is set equal to 0 first. So here, I have a negative 15 on the right side. I want to move it to the other side, and the opposite of a negative is a positive. So I'm going to add 15 to both sides here. They're going to cancel on the right. On the left, I can't combine a number with an x squared or an x, so I'm just going to tack it on to the end here. Now that my equation is set equal to 0, I can do my t-chart with my rainbow. So remember, multiply first times last. 2 times 15 would give me 30. At the bottom, I have my 13. So I'm doing factors of 30, 1 and 30, 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. So I'm looking for which ones add together to give me 13. I see that 3 and 10 will do that. My top is positive, my negative is positive, so I know both of them also have to be positive. All right, here we go. So bring down your first term, 2x squared. Split up that middle term into what you circled, so plus 3x plus 10x, and then bring down the last one, plus 15, all set equal to 0. Next up, we are going to group the first two and group the second two. In the first one, between 2 and 3, I can't divide any other number except for 1. Between x squared and x, I can take out an x. Divide each of these guys by x. 2x squared divided by x gives me a 2x. 3x divided by x gives me a 3 because my x's will cancel. Same idea on the next parenthesis. So between 10 and 15, what's the biggest number I can take out? It is 5, so I'm going to say plus 5. Open my parenthesis, and then again, we're dividing each of these guys by 5. 10x divided by 5 leaves me with 2x. 15 divided by 5 leaves me with a 3. It's all still set equal to 0. I'm looking at my parentheses. They're all the same, so I know I did it right. We're going to cross them off and write it once. And then my leftovers, the x plus 5, will go in the second parenthesis. Again, still set equal to 0. Okay, we're almost done. Now we are going to set each parenthesis equal to 0 and solve for x. So this first one, I'm going to set 2x plus 3 equal to 0. Remember, we are going to subtract first, so take away 3 from both sides. 2x is equal to negative 3. Divide by 2, divide by 2. So my x value is equal to negative 3 over 2, and we can leave it just like that as a fraction. Next, I'm going to set my second parenthesis equal to 0, x plus 5, subtract 5 on both sides. So this one will give me x is equal to a negative 5. There are my two solutions. All right, here we go. So we have 3x squared minus 4x is equal to 7. Again, I have an x squared and an x, so I know I'm going to be using factoring. When I'm using factoring, I need to make sure that my equation is equal to 0. So because I have that 7 over there, I need to move it to the other side. When you're moving it to the other side, you are never going to multiply or divide. You are always going to add and subtract. So because that's a positive 7, I am going to subtract 7 on both sides. So they'll cancel on the right. On the left, I can't combine a number with any of the x's, so I'm just going to tack it on at the end. Okay, y'all know the drill. We're going to multiply first times last. So 3 times negative 7 will give me a negative 21, and the negative 4 is going to go at the bottom. All right, factors of 21, 1 times 21, and 3 times 7. The top is negative, so I need 1 to be positive and 1 to be negative. In this case, I'm going to choose 7 and 3, and I'm going to make the 7 negative because I want an overall negative 4 at the bottom. So 3 minus 7 would give me that negative 4. All right, here we go. Bring down your first term, 3x squared. Break up this middle term into plus 3x minus 7x, and then bring down this negative 7 here, and it's still all set equal to 0. All right, you're going to group your first two together and group your second two together. Make sure you group that negative inside the parenthesis. Now I'm looking at just the first parenthesis. What is the greatest common factor between 3x squared and 3x? Well, they both have 3, so I'm going to start with 3. They also both can give up an x, so I'm going to divide each one of these guys by 3x. Remember, 3 divided by 3 gives you 1, so if you want to put a 1 here, x squared divided by x gives me an x. And then 3x divided by 3x, again, same thing. Same divided by same gives us 1, so make sure we put 1, not 0. Okay, on the next one, whenever this guy is negative, right here, we need to take out a negative number. So I'm going to put a negative so I don't forget. Between 7x and 7, I can just take out a 7. So I'm going to put a negative 7 here. And make sure when you divide by a negative 7. All right, negative 7 divided by negative 7 would give me a 1x. Again, negative 7 divided by negative 7 would give me just a positive 1, because when I'm dividing, two negatives make me a positive. And it's still set equal to 0. All right, almost done. Our parentheses are exactly the same, so I know I did it right. Cross them off and write it once. 1x plus 1, and then my leftovers, 3x minus 7, go in the next one. And it's still set equal to 0. Okay, very last step, I'm going to set each parenthesis equal to 0. So 1x plus 1 equals 0. A lot of times we don't put the 1 in front of the x, so this is the same thing as x plus 1 is equal to 0. Subtract 1 on both sides. X is equal to negative 1. There's solution number 1. The second one, I have 3x minus 7 equals 0. I'm going to add 7 to both sides. They're going to cancel. I'm going to move up here. 3x is equal to 7. Divide by 3 on both sides. So x is equal to 7/3. That is my second answer, and I'm done.